Ladies and gentlemen, football is back. And with that comes the inevitable groans of significant others dealing with their man playing make-believe in the world of fantasy football. And the Queen's dead. Roll the intro.
They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the.
Welcome back to another episode of the Problems on Problems podcast. I am your host, Mike Santee, a.k.a. Plant Poppy, a.k.a. Curly Temple, a.k.a. Mr. Sling That, a.k.a. Walmart Bad Bunny, a.k.a. Rich Uncle, a.k.a. Menace to Society. And today's episode, we are covering fantasy football. What is fantasy football, you ask? You're not really asking that. Fantasy football is basically it's like astrology for sports bros. In the sense that nobody really understands it, but it controls the emotions of millions at a time, and people use it as an excuse to be a. It's like that. Are we really going to act like this isn't a bunch of chads just playing Dungeons and Dragons with other grown men virtually in some attempt to convince your out of shape and balding friends that you somehow know how to play make-believe general manager better than they can? I've yet to see an NFL team hire you because you won the League of Ball Hogs for 3 seasons in a row, and you've just been killing it at there. Meanwhile, your relationships and your job are just crumbling and taking a nosedive into, well, loneliness. Oh, you got to get your little roster together. You got to put your little football players on there. You got to get ready for the week and win. Yeah, I'm not really buying it. Listen, if you spend an extra 3 hours at your office just so you can get 4 extra monitors just to draft Patches O'Houlihan in the 3rd round to inevitably come in last place in your league again and lose the $200 investment that you put into there, maybe we should reevaluate your life a little bit. And if you win, what do you win? Like, you won a couple $100. The fact that your boys think that you're better at playing make-believe than they are, all the while you're just neglecting your family, kids, lovers, houseplants, whatever you want to call it. I'm cool on that. I'll settle down. I mean, cool, bro. You missed your grandma's funeral just so you could pick up Jameis Winston on a waiver wire, but like, good for you, man. At least you won. Speaking of funerals, today marks the death of Queen Elizabeth II, the controversial monarch. Honestly, longest reigning monarch in British history, English history, United Kingdom history. I don't know. I'm not the news. Don't look at me like that. Yeah, maybe she married her cousin, you know? Maybe she started this whole Targaryen thing in real life and was actually living through a real life Game of Thrones. But at the end of the day, lady was a G. We're talking about a person that took over a modern day empire at the age of 25 and then ran it for 70 years. Like, I've named somebody else that's doing that right now. I mean, she lived through everything. She was even part of World War II. I don't know which part. But yeah, it's living history. And then, sure, whether you think she had a response to, how do I phrase this so I don't get axed by the royal family? You may or may not believe that she had a part to play in Princess Diana's death. And whether or not she's looking up at her now or joining her or wherever she ends up, whatever you believe in, is up for discussion, but not my discussion, because at the end of the day, she was a G. She was a real top G, real top boy, really out here in these ends, getting it in, doing her thing. And yeah, there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of controversy, but when is there not when you've been in the public eye and part of royalty for, gosh, your entire life, and you've been basically the headpiece of what used to be one of the world's like strongest powers. So, I mean, hey, props to you. You deserve your roses and all that stuff. Respect for the dead and all that. God rest the queen. But also, now that she's passed away, I wonder how many different things are about to come out. Who knows? But either way, like, you know, tell people you love them, do your stuff, hold them close. But with that, it's a short episode this week because I don't have the attention span for it. But with that, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about why some of you guys are going to be reported to the FBI. And then we'll wrap it up for the weekend.
P.O.P. all the time.
And we're back with the great debate. Now, last episode, I asked y'all, how do you take off your footwear? Do you go shoe, shoe, sock, sock, or shoe, sock, shoe, sock? And thankfully, 91% of you said shoe, shoe, sock, sock, like a normal, well-adjusted human being. And there's 9% of you that I had to immediately call the authorities on and report you to, I don't know, the FBI, the CIA, the most wanted list, the no-fly list, everything that you can think of here and in between. I reported you to the United Nations. That 9% of you guys said shoe, sock, which is the most the most psychotic thing I've ever heard of in my life. Like, I'm sorry, how many bodies do you have trapped in your basement right now? Like, what are we doing with our lives where you think, oh, hey, let me take off this shoe, but while I'm here, let me also take off this sock. And now I've just got foot and fully dressed foot, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Please make it make sense, because to me, if at any point in time you look down and you see a bare foot next to a socked and shoed foot, please run, because you're about to be murdered or you're about to be a part of a murder. Like, who's out here missing that stuff? I've never seen anybody think, oh, this is a good idea. Let me just remove this shoe, remove this sock, and then let's move on to the other side. Like, please don't ever do that. Please take off both of your shoes and then take off both socks, because a world can't work where you're just willy-nilly taking off one side and then bilaterally just chilling with the other one. Like, are you hop along? Like, what's happening? But other than that, I mean, no, there is no other than that. Don't do that anymore. Like, that's not okay. So we should never do that again. From now on, go, unless you have some medical reason to take off shoe, sock. From now on, let's just take off shoe, sock, and have everybody else in your life worry a little bit less of your mental stability. Think about it. But this week, this episode, who would win in a chess match between a mind reader and a future seer? And I really don't know the answer to this. I feel like I would know the answer to this, and I kind of do, but I don't want to spoil it because, you know, why? That would ruin the content. But yeah, would someone that could read minds beat someone that can see the future in chess? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the polls. Let me know everywhere in between. Ooh, pause. Big pause. Don't worry about that. But yeah, we'll talk about it next episode. Other than that, real quick episode this week, mainly because football's starting and I'm trying to edit this video so I can watch week 1 of football because, you know, America. But yeah, per usual, join me next week to see when I go in a spiral of my hot take of Charlotte FC's second half of a dumpster fire season, which, I mean, has almost inevitably led us to be mathematically eliminated from playoffs. So we'll see what I have to say about that afterwards. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Problems on Problems YouTube channel. All the stuff in between. Click on the bell to get notified when I post new episodes. Don't forget to follow us at Problems on Problems Podcast on Instagram, at problems_pod on Twitter, and per usual, don't forget to follow your boy at Mike Santi 18 on all social media. But like I always say, guys, if it's not a good time, hope it's a good story, and I will see you next time.